Well, let me see what I got.
Maybe you can hum it.
Maybe you can hum Social Distortion. That's not a band I listen to very much. Oh, I can't hear you whistling, RJon.
You cannot hear me whistling?
I can't. Something about the Zoom filter must take it off.
Zoom filter is filtering out my humming.
I think so.
Oh, I was whistling.
Yeah, the humming I can hear, the whistling I couldn't.
You hear my audio better now?
It sounds cleaner to me. Will you give it a tap and just make sure?
That's
Oh,
sound. Can you hear that, Jennifer?
Yes.
Jennifer?
Let's see. Tap on it. That must be a Zoom thing because you do sound better. You don't sound as echoey.
Testing 1, 2, 3. Testing 1, 2, 3.
yeah, the sound is much cleaner. So
Just tell me, Jennifer, does it sound good? Yes or no?
Yes.
Okay, then then it's fine. All right. We don't need to get all impressed with technology. If it works, it works. Well, I don't know. Is the microphone working? I don't know. Does it sound good? If it sounds good, then it's working. All right.
RJon, let's hop into questions. And maybe let's do your lighting after the fact. That way we can spend a little more time on it and get Heidi's questions answered.
What are you talking about?
I mean,
what are you talking about?
So I'm talking about let's get started and let's do your lighting after this stream, and we'll have it for tomorrow and Monday, Tuesday. That way we'll have more time.
Which defeats the purpose of having lighting. Let's have the lighting look good after we're done recording. Is that what you're proposing? That doesn't make a lot of sense. I'm sorry.
Right, but we've had this same lighting for the last 3 days, and I think it looks
like crap for the last 3 days, which is the whole point of why we've been trying to get the lighting working. So just give me a minute to get the lighting working.
All right. Good morning, folks in attendance.
And doing things that we later regret. If you have questions from the audience that I can answer while I'm doing this, that'd be great. Yeah. Carly, it's important to be clear on your criteria.
Yes.
All right. And I don't mean to be rude, but like, I'm the one that's going to have to live with this 10 years from now, this recording.
Yes.
5 years from now. I hope you're still working with me 10 years from now, but in case you're not, I'm still going to have to live with this shit and you won't.
Fair enough.
So what's convenient or expedient at the moment is of less concern to me than what is going to serve me long term. This is the whole lesson yesterday of giving myself the gift of an automatic referral machine 10 years from now requires me to do things in the short term that maybe aren't so convenient, aren't so easy. You know, we're doing this live as a gift to the audience. If they don't like it, they don't have to tune in.
Fair enough.
10 years from now, I'll be thankful that I did this the right way, or at least better.
All right, well, let's do some questions from the audience, some of the ones that came in from yesterday. Those who are in attendance, if you're listening or looking live.
I'm not trying to be an asshole, everyone. It's just that if you don't, I'm not apologizing to you, Carly. I'm saying to the audience, I'm turning this into a lesson. I'm not trying to be an asshole, but if you don't establish some standards, the world is going to hand you a bunch of shit and you're going to eat it. And then you'll be eating shit for the rest of your life, wondering why you've been eating shit. And the answer is because everyone wants to throw expedient convenience for themselves at you. You have to know your standards, your criteria, what's important to you, and give your future self the gift of not taking other people's low standards bullshit. And I'm sorry if that hurts your feelings, Carly, but it's true. Raise your standards. I'm talking to you, Carly. Raise your standards. Stop taking shit from people.
Okay. I do feel like I am a work in progress.
Personal life.
You what?
I'm going to avoid making comments about the personal life.
I knew where you were going with that.
Oh, yeah, we all knew.
Also, PS, maybe not for here, but you've been asking me to read that book forever, and I finally did over sabbatical, and I kicked myself for not reading it sooner. You were, as
That
always,
book
completely
being
right. The Gift
that
of
book.
Fear.
Everyone, if you have children, especially if you have daughters, if you don't read The Gift of Fear, you are missing out. Carly, preach, Carly, preach.
It was amazing. It was amazing. I went back and immediately reread it. And I learned a lot about myself and how I approach the world, and I totally understood some things that RJon's been coaching me up about
I'm just
for
such
a
an
while.
asshole. He's always trying to encourage me to improve myself and have a better life. That's what a lot of former employees say.
Oh, yeah, well, that's partly the reason why I don't get offended when you do coach me up, because I know where it's coming from and I'm always better for it. The Carly who is here today is not the same Carly as who started 2.5 years ago, and I am better for it. I'll drop the link to the book in the chat if anybody wants it, but you should definitely read this book. It was amazing. I'm kicking myself I didn't read it sooner. All right, RJon, let me ask you some questions from the audience that came
So
in
if you had been
overnight.
kidnapped and murdered because you hadn't read the book, you know who would have been kicking themselves?
Oh no.
Me.
My family?
No,
Oh,
me.
okay.
No, your family didn't tell you to read the book.
They didn't.
I'm the one that I want you to think about the questions I'm asking you, Carly.
Yeah.
Who would be kicked? Why would your family kick themselves if you had been kidnapped and murdered? They'd be
Survivor's
sad,
guilt?
they'd be devastated, they'd be heartbroken, but they wouldn't be kicking themselves for not pushing you harder to read the book.
Okay, that's fair.
You care about someone and there's something that you know they should do for their own betterment, for their own protection, for their own safety, to give themselves a gift of a better future. If you care about someone, look, if you're trying to get other people to like you, if you're trying to get your love, get your security, get your self-esteem from your employees, from your clients, from your vendors, from your coworkers, if you're trying to get your love, get your security, get your self-esteem, then you don't push anyone.
Mm.
And then you become popular. And then everyone likes you and says, oh, they're so nice. This person never pushes me. This person never challenges me. This person never calls me out on my bullshit. If you care about someone, you push them, you challenge them, you use your relationship to give love, give security, give self-esteem. Had you been murdered and kidnapped because of the things that you now know that I want you to read the book,
Mm-hmm.
I would have been like, man, why didn't I push her harder to read the book?
I'm not sure how you could have pushed me harder to
I
read the
could have
book.
pushed you harder. Oh, I
Yeah.
could have pushed you harder. It could have been like this, Carly. Read the book and write me a book report on it by next week or you're fired. End of discussion. I would have done that. If I'm standing at your freaking funeral, I'm thinking to myself, I could have done that for her.
Mm-hmm.
For her.
That's fair.
What
And I
questions
did
do we have
feel
from
like
the
you
audience?
did it for me. I will say, I finished the book and I was like, oh man, gosh dang it, RJon was right, which is usually what it is. And I say it with a smile, like, oh, he was right. I should have done this a million years ago. All right, let me give you some questions, RJon. Can we still hear you from
I hear
over
you.
there?
I'm getting the extension cords ready.
Okay, perfect. Perfect. All right, so here's one of the questions that we got in overnight. So, should I focus on going deep with one group like BNI or my local chamber of commerce, or should I spread out and try a bunch of different events? Should I cast a wider net? That's the question.
Cast as wide of a net as time permits because you don't know what group is going to ultimately bear the most fruit for you,
Mm-hmm.
right? Some BNI groups, a lot of BNI groups, most BNI groups are really, really well run. But there's some duds, let's face it, right? Um, Try a bunch of different things and see which ones work best. And then the ones that work best, do more of them. The ones that don't work best, do less of them. Don't keep going back to a dry well, expecting it to be wet someday in the future. Read the book, Who Moved My Cheese? If there's no cheese there, stop going back to cheese station C. Go to where the cheese is. Be pragmatic about this.
Yeah.
I'm almost done here.
Yeah, no
You're
problem.
going to be so impressed, Jennifer, when you see these lights. Go on. Next
I,
question.
I'm ready for it.
Okay. Next
I'm
question
ready
is,
for you to be ready for it.
how long does it usually take, RJon, before you start seeing real consistent referrals? In other words, how long do we need to keep at this before we'll see results?
I have seen people get lucky and get results like from their very first networking event. Remember, you're not going to networking events to get clients. You're going to networking events to identify people who you're going to cultivate into referral sources, right? Teach a person to fish versus giving a person a fish. If you go to if you go to a networking event and you meet someone and they say, so let's suppose you go to the networking event. I'm at a networking event and I meet someone and they say, what do you do? And I say, and I know they're going to say, what do you do? They're always going to ask me what I do because I ask them first what they do. And when you ask someone else, hey, by the way, what do you do? Not like the very first words out of your mouth, but a minute or two into the conversation, which by the way, in the book, we lay out exactly what Bob Berg's magic questions are that always, 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 always work.
We're going to talk
But
about that
a
today.
minute or so into the conversation, I'm going to say, oh, by the way, what do you do? And they tell me what they do. And I ask them some feel-good follow-up questions that make them feel good about it. Very, very reliably, very, very predictably, 98.75% of the time, they're going to ask what I do, right? And if I say, oh, for example, I help owners of small law firms double their income and work half as much, for example, right? And they say, ooh, 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 that's me, that's me. Tell me more, tell me more. Ooh, 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 tell me more, right? I'm going to demonstrate some discipline, some restraint, some discretion, some good judgment, some entrepreneurial maturity. And I'm not going to like yank the fishing rod before the hook is properly set, right? This is the difference between just engaging in random acts of marketing, random acts of networking versus building this referral machine, right? Even if they like really seem hot to trot for what it is that I do, I'm still going to follow the protocol because the protocol works. If you follow the protocol, you'll get better results in the long run. So how long does it typically take? How carefully are you selecting the fishing grounds that you're going to go to engage in your networking? Are you being random about it? Are you just going to whatever, however, wherever? Or are you being intentional and strategic and smart about picking smart places to go to do networking? That's going to have a huge impact on how long it's going to take. Number two, are you going to these events and following the instructions that you'll read about in this book, what to do when you get to the networking event? Or are you doing like what most idiots do when they get to networking events, which is all the wrong things, and then it doesn't work? Number three, when you go to the networking event, go to the right networking event, do the right thing when you get to the networking event, avoid doing all the stupid things that most people do when they get to networking events. Number three, are you following up using any pieces of the system that we're teaching you in this book to build a machine? If you do follow up, you'll get results faster. If you don't follow up, you'll get results randomly, sporadically. Number four, do you keep working the machine, working the machine, working the machine? We're teaching you how to build an automatic referral machine. Do you keep working the machine, or do you turn the machine on, turn the machine off, turn the machine on, turn the machine off, turn the machine on, turn the machine off? That's going to have a huge impact on whether you get results at all and how quickly and how consistently and how valuable those results are. Then, once you've got this machine built and running, do you go to one networking event or do you go to two networking events per month? Do you go to one networking event or do you go to 2 networking events per week? When I was getting started, I was going to 5 networking events a week. I was broke. I had nothing else to do. You can't say you're broke, you have no clients, you have no money, and you also have no time. If you broke, if you got no money and no clients, then you got a lot of time on your hands. What else have you got to do? Go to networking events. Go to lots of networking events. Try them all out. Look, I appreciate that what the person asking is looking for is like some rule of thumb.
Mm.
But it would be disingenuous of me. It would be inauthentic of me. It would be maybe flattering to my ego, but not honest and sincere to give you like a number. Anyone who gives you an answer to that question that's any different from what I just said, they're full of crap. I got to plug these lights in. Keep asking.
Okay. The next question was, I already feel like I'm maxed out at work, working too many hours. What should I stop doing to make space for networking without burning myself out or dropping the follow-up ball?
Hang on a second.
Sure.
How's that for background light?
Can it be brighter?
I'm sure it can. I touched the button that Allie specific told me not to touch. How's that? Jennifer, I'm asking Jennifer, Carly, with respect, you're not the director, producer. Jennifer is.
Yes.
Does that make a difference? Is that helping? What do you want me to do?
Yeah. Let me get you front facing so I can look behind you. You've got it behind you?
I've got it behind me on the floor facing up.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's popping you away from the wall a little bit. Yeah.
This
so
is good.
The brighter that it is, the better for sure. So max
I
the
can
brightness.
also change colors.
Oh, colors would be nice.
That's green.
Keep going.
That's blue.
I'm not seeing a lot of blue.
That's purple.
Purple because you have purple, maybe. Lilac. Yeah,
That's
I don't know
red.
how strong it is. It's not very strong.
I have an idea.
Probably needs to be, yes. Yes, it just needs to be higher.
How's that?
Yeah, I see the glow behind you. I like it.
You do?
Yep. Yeah,
That's
it was too
red.
low, but it's better. Yeah, any of the colors will be good. It's just separating you from the wall.
How's that?
I like it. It's a soft glow. Subtle.
You should see how glamorous this is. I got like broken cardboard boxes propping things up.
All that matters is what's in front of the camera.
How's that?
Yeah, I like it. It's a soft glow behind you and warms up the space instead of it being so stark and white.
How about this? It's a strobe light.
Don't do it, man. Don't do it.
All right. Was that Carly beatboxing?
Very, very jokingly.
It was, and you missed the whole dance and everything, RJon.
Oh, that's green. Yellow.
No, not yellow.
Green.
No, I kind of like the red or the purple.
Blue.
Blue works also. That also works.
Maybe the audience wants to vote. White.
Who wants to vote in the audience?
White's not good, right?
No, because it's too white. We just need a little pop of, a little warmth of color behind you, a soft glow. That looks good right there. It's like kind of golden.
All right, I got red.
Red. Red works.
Red it is. All right.
Red it is.
Red it is.
Yay,
Now
we
we
got
get to the
lights.
main event.
Yes.
Oh, Jen, I think the main event is the ring light.
I
think
think
you're
the main
still
event
on.
is the ring light. It is. Matter of fact, that's going to be exciting. We're going to get lights front and back and microphone. It's like the golden ticket.
Ring light.
The golden ticket.
Ring light white, or do you want ring light? Oh,
Oh,
a little bit softer.
A little bit more. It needs to be brighter. Make it bright.
That's kind of a yellow.
Mm-hmm. I can see you better for sure.
That's white.
Yeah, I think that works better because we want to see you. I mean, the golden was nice too. I'd like to see what Carly and Heidi think, but the golden was nice.
Oh, there's white.
Yeah, let's go with that because it
Go with that?
softens. Mm-hmm.
All right.
Let's go with that. All right.
I got golf cart hair. Sorry.
Thank you, RJon.
What are you thanking me for?
for getting the lights,
Yeah,
making the editor's job easier.
absolutely.
Well, Alex ordered them, and Allie showed me how to use them. So,
Team effort.
how are we doing there?
Yep, I like it.
You like
Soft,
this?
subtle. Yes.
All right.
Mhm.
Jennifer,
Yes.
the next time Carly starts stepping on your space and opining on things that you need to fix with editing, please speak up.
Got it. Will do.
Meeting starts in 1 minute, everyone. Actually, the ring light just fell. The meeting already started. You're learning lots of lessons. There's bonus lessons all along the way. Carly, what's that last question you asked? And then we'll get started while I fix this ring light.
The last question was, so I'm already maxed out. I'm working too many hours. What do I need to stop doing to make space for networking without burning out or feeling like I'm dropping the follow-up ball?
All right, I'm going to look into my crystal ball here for a moment. And here's what I can see. I can see this person has $10,000 worth of accounts receivables and $7,500 of unbilled work, and 11 clients, 11 prospects who they've met with. The person said, I'll think about it. And then they didn't follow up with the person. There's so much wasted time. Learn to use your trust account like the profit protecting tool it was invented and created to be. There is a running debate. There used to be a running debate. But since I'm alive and they're gone, I now win the argument that it used to be Florida versus Ontario. And we were debating which was the first bar association, the first bar to create mandatory IOLTA client property trust account rules and regulations. And since I'm still alive and they're all gone, it's Florida. Florida, the trust account was created to prevent you from having accounts receivables. Learn to use your trust account as the law firm profit protecting tool it was meant to be. Send out your bills. Follow up with your prospects. There's so much wasted time. Batch your time. Learn to use your calendar as the strategic planning tool that the calendar was invented to be. IOLTA Client Property Trust Account was created to protect the law firm's profits. The calendar was invented 1,000 years ago by the Egyptians as a strategic planning tool. There's tons of wasted time. There's so much wasted time. most of the time, if we can just get the owner of the law firm to stop doing a whole bunch of things, bam, revenues, income, profits go up. Carly, you want to add anything?
I
You
feel
don't want
like
to mention the fact that we've got some resources that you have at your fingertips that you can share with everyone?
yeah, we do have some
All
really
right,
good
let's just
resources.
do this again, and then Jennifer will edit it and make it seem like you're really on the ball and paying attention here. Come on, get with it. For real.
No, no, no. I was on the ball and paying attention. I just don't have them branded for this one here. But we've got some great resources. That's on me, RJon. I gave myself a qualifier that didn't exist.
Start again.
Yes.
Make Jennifer's life easier. Don't make her use a scalpel to do the editing, please.
Yes.
She's got things to do, places to go. Just, Jennifer, jump in here and give some direction, or else you're going to spend your weekend figuring out how to edit this thing with a scalpel.
RJon, if you will ask Carly that question again and Carly answers it, we'd have a clean cut.
I don't want to ask her the question. I want her to jump in and say, hey, we've got some resources I can share on that. I think that looks better. That's a better look for Carly.
All right, Carly, hit it.
Okay.
So you want me to just go back a few beats
Yep.
in the conversation?
Please.
So the attorney client property trust, the IOLTA client property trust account, which is a little bit redundant because IOLTA stands for interest on legal trust account, or sometimes IOTA, which is technically more correct. Anyway, the point I'm making is that was invented. It was created by the bar to help protect the profits of your law firm. And then the calendar, which was invented 1,000 years ago, was created as a strategic planning tool.
And we have some really great resources that go over all of these concepts so that you don't have to go in super deep here, RJon. I'm going to post a link in the chat to the IOLTA lesson. It's older, but it's a goodie, and it has a lot of this really great information.
Yeah, I think I sat down and wrote that at my dining room table back in like 2007 when I was broke. And I recorded it, and I made like a little PowerPoint. Like I did all the graphics myself, which you'll be able to tell because they're horrible.
But fun.
And then I did like a little voiceover recording. It's so badly produced, but really good content.
Yes.
All right.
Let's get started. Do you want the intro, or should we start with Heidi since we're half an hour in?
Let's just start.
Let's just start. All right, Heidi. So coming up on you. So those in the audience, if you haven't been here before, we do this in two parts. First part is our book wrangler extraordinaire, Heidi Justo, who is going to ask RJon some questions so that we can get this book written. And then we'll do some more Q&A after she's done. So if you have any additional questions, please put them in chat and we'll make sure we get to them at the end. All right, Heidi and RJon, take it away.
Thank you so much, Carly. Okay, RJon, I want to talk about the Bob Burg feel-good questions, because I know previously when we talked, those came up quite a bit. And even in this series so far, he's been mentioned. And I thought it might be good to hear you, I want to hear you talk about them more, in why this list of 10 questions is so important to building an automatic referral machine. And then also, what context can the questions be used beyond formal networking events? And I thought I might read them off just for anybody who's listening in who doesn't know what these questions are, if that sounds good to you.
Yes. And while you're reading the questions, I'm going to grab some water. I'll be right back. So start reading.
Okay, so the questions. Number 1, how did you get your start in the widget business? Number 2, what do you enjoy most about your profession? Number 3, what separates you and your company from the competition? Number 4, what advice would you give someone just starting in this widget business? Number 5, what one thing would you do with your business if you knew you could not fail? Number 6, what significant changes have you seen take place in your profession throughout the years? Number 7, what do you see as the coming trends in the widget business? Number 8, describe the strangest or funniest incident you've experienced in your business. Number 9, sorry, what ways have you found to be the most effective for promoting your business? And number 10, what one sentence would you like people to use in describing the way you do business? So those are Bob Burg's feel-good questions. So RJon, I'd love to hear your thoughts.
Right. So first off, let me just say, they're not meant to be used word for word for word for word. Say them in your own words, right? Number 2, no one is expecting, nor should you even try to work all of these questions into any one conversation. That would just be weird, right? These are a buffet of options so that when you're standing there at a networking event or in other contexts that we'll talk about, you're not standing there feeling awkward. You don't know what to say. You don't know what to ask. You don't know what to do. You just kind of, you pull from these questions, and what you'll discover is that you will tend to gravitate to questions 1, 3, 5, and 7, and someone else will tend to gravitate more towards 2, 4, 6, and 8. There's no like you got to use them in any particular order or anything like that. The one question that I would definitely recommend you always work into every conversation if you want to really build a referral machine is how can I tell if there's someone I'm talking to who I should refer to you? How can I tell if one of my clients is someone that I should refer to you? Hey, I go to a lot of networking events like this and I bump into a lot of interesting people. How can I tell if someone I bump into is someone who I should be referring to you? Variations of that, use your own words, make it fit the context that you're in. Yeah. All right. The whole idea behind these questions is to get the other person talking, right? Let them be the star of the show. Let them talk about their favorite subject, which is always themselves, their business, their family, their favorite subjects, right? Get them talking about them. Don't make it about you. Shine the spotlight on them. You want the questions to be positive and feel good questions, right? Because when they remember you, because we're going to build this machine, we're going to create this system and build this machine that's going to maintain top of mind awareness, maintain top of mind awareness, maintain top of mind awareness for years and years and years and years and years and years and years. We're going to keep maintaining top of the machine is going to keep maintaining top of mind awareness. And every time they think of you, you want them to have a positive feeling and a positive memory, not a negative feeling, not a negative memory, right? You don't want to be asking them questions about like, tell me about your worst clients and tell me about your worst day in court and tell me about your worst employee and tell me about your biggest failure and your most painful memory. You don't want to link your image and your memory to negative stuff. Keep it positive, right? Yeah. That's very intentional and deliberate. It's easy to fall into the gossip game. It's easy to talk it's easy to fall into the commiseration game. It's easy to start bragging about your problems. And next thing you know, everyone's trying to one up themselves on who's more miserable, right? That's not a game you want to win. That's not a game you want to be in. What was your other question? Your other question was?
Well, I have another one, but let me ask a follow-up first.
In what context?
Yeah. Can I ask a follow-up question though, based on what you just said?
Yeah.
Like, so say people, you're trying to keep it positive and somehow the person keeps turning it negative, right? Their natural inclination is to go there. How do you what's some language to use to pull them back into the positive?
Yeah, don't do that. Don't call them out on it. Don't challenge. They didn't sign up for a coaching session with you. They're not paying you to help them improve their mindset or their outlook on life. What I find is that if I keep it positive, they
Mhm.
generally will begin to follow my lead.
Okay.
See, what happens is the cool kids, think about what all the cool kids usually do at school. They talk bad stuff about other kids. That's what makes them the cool kids, right?
Yeah.
And so, for whatever reason, and we don't need to worry about why, but I think we can all recognize that it's true that for whatever reason, we live in a society where it's cooler and safer to be negative,
Yeah.
right? It's easy to find fault. It's easy to criticize. It's easy to gang up on someone and make fun of them and find fault with them and talk trash about them, right? It's a little bit vulnerable to be positive in today's world, right? It makes you stand out, and we all know that sometimes when you stand out, you become the target of the quote unquote the cool kids, right?
Mhm.
But if you have some courage, if you show some leadership, show some backbone and stay positive, generally I find other people will start to feel safer around you, right? They'll start to feel safer around you, and they'll join you in focusing on more positive things. And what you might even find is that they kind of like they relax and like, wow, I don't have to be on guard. I
Yeah.
saw a quote, I think it was by Al Pacino, I'm not sure, and it says something like, when you talk trash about someone else, it makes me think less of you, not less of them.
Yeah. That's
and
good.
and be the be remembered as the positive person when you're out there
Yeah.
building your brand, building your reputation.
Yeah. That
um
makes me, oh, sorry.
no, go ahead.
I was going to say that makes me think of something that I've heard Ivan say, and I forget which book or books it's in that I've worked on with him, but he says some people complain like it's an Olympic sport.
Yeah.
And for the record, it's not.
And what I say, and this is, I mean, when Ivan and I met, we're like trading things back and forth. And we're like, and I say this, and I say, and like
Yeah.
we were like, oh my God, like we're finally like two people. It's like we're just connecting on so many different levels. It was pretty funny. It was very, very cool actually.
Yeah.
And it wasn't bad that it was on a beach.
Never a bad day at a beach, right? That's my
Especially
motto.
that beach. That was a particularly spectacular beach. But anyway, the point I'm making is what I often tell people is, you know, lawyers love to brag about their problems. And,
Mhm.
and all you have to do is go and report honestly and accurately about three things at any bar association meeting, and you'll see how quick people are to try to compete over and brag about their problems. Report honestly and accurately about how profitable your business is. Report honestly and accurately about the financial performance of your business. Report honestly and accurately about how well your business is serving you in terms of giving you personal freedom of time and space, and report honestly and accurately about how professionally you're making a positive impact on the world, helping clients, and how much clients appreciate the work that your firm does. Report honestly and accurately about the performance of your staff. Any of these things, right?
Mhm.
And if you go and you report honestly and accurately about these things and they're positive, my firm is growing leaps and bounds every year. It's doing great. I'm really happy with the financial performance of my firm. My staff are superstars. They've got my back. I can be away from the firm for 30, 60, even 90 days at a time with emergency access only. And while I'm gone, my staff just keeps things running. They follow the procedures. They follow the policies. They've been really well trained. We did a really good job of onboarding them, and they're crushing it. Honestly and accurately, you report about your clients. My clients, we've got great clients. They appreciate what we do. They value what we do. They refer business to us. They're always telling me what a great job my staff is doing. If you report honestly and accurately about those things, and they're positive, everyone will label you a braggart. You're bragging.
Yeah.
But if you report honestly and accurately about those things and it's negative, you're going to be surrounded by a bunch of people trying to compete for whose situation is worse. They'll, you go out, you go to local bar association and you say, oh, wow, the economy is really tough and the clients owe me a bunch of money and accounts receivables are really tough and the clients don't pay on time. And I got, $10,000 in unpaid bills out there that these clients aren't paying me for. Someone else is going to puff out their chest and say, $10,000, that's nothing. My clients owe me $20,000. $20,000, that's nothing. My clients owe me $30,000. $30,000. I run my law firm so badly that I've allowed my clients to accumulate $50,000 in accounts receivables. They're bragging about how badly they run their business. They're competing over it.
Yeah.
You say, hey, I had to work, I'm working like, 50 hours a week in the office, and I can't remember the last time I took a vacation. 50 hours a week. I run my business so badly that I spent 60 hours a week in the office. 60 hours in the week. No. I got you all beat. I run my law firm so badly, I spend 70 hours a week in the office. I mean, they're bragging about their problem. Why is it called bragging when you report honestly and accurately on the same criteria and it's positive?
Yeah.
But it's not bragging if you report honestly and accurately on the same criteria and it's negative. To me, bragging is bragging.
Mhm.
Anyway, but I digress. What was the last
Yeah.
question about the Bob Burg 10 feel-good questions?
Kind of like, what other contexts outside of formal networking events would you use those? Because I'm guessing there's a broader,
Everywhere.
just kind of
I
everywhere.
used those questions on my first date with my wife. I did. They're
Which one did you
positive,
remember? What did you lead with? Well, I guess I could see that what do you enjoy most about your profession? That's a good date question. I
right?
could see that. Yeah.
Let's
Okay.
go through these questions one by one. What's the first
Yeah.
one?
How did you get your start in the widget, whatever it is,
Hey,
business?
so at the time, Allie was a senior art director for VH1 for all of Central and South America. No, I'm sorry, for Nickelodeon. She was the senior art director for all of Nickelodeon television for all of Central and South America. So I said, that's really interesting. How did you get started? Tell me your story.
Yeah.
What's the second question?
What do you enjoy most about your profession, Allie?
Allie, that's really fascinating. What do you like most about that? Third question.
What separates you and your company from the competition?
That one I might not bring on a date. What's the fourth one?
Yeah. What advice would you give someone just starting out in your field?
Wow, that's so great. It sounds like it sounds like you really enjoy what you do. What advice would you have for someone who's just getting started in that business?
Yeah. What
Fifth?
would you do with your business or for her career if you knew you couldn't fail?
Oh, that's the closer question, everyone.
Ah, that's the closer.
That
Okay.
question is great on a date. Wouldn't you be flattered if you went on a date? I mean, you're married, I'm married, but if you went
Yeah.
on a date, if you were single and someone asked you that and they said, "What would you love to do with your job or your career if you knew you wouldn't fail?" I mean,
Yeah. You're like, wow,
that's
they're
a
really
great question. That
interested.
was the
And it's
best
just,
date of my life. They asked me all these really interesting questions. I feel good about everything. I feel optimistic and I see a better future. And I mean, these are great questions in every context.
yeah. Yeah, I can see that. So, what changes have you seen take place in your profession over the years?
Listen, the
Yep.
only people who are going to respond negatively to these questions, and I'm being sincere, the only people who are going to be responding negatively to these questions are people who are faking it. They're not real. They don't really know what they're talking about, right? They're putting on a front. They're faking it. They have no depth or substance to them. And the questions make them feel found out. Or people who are just, I mean, it's sad to say, but people who are really damaged, right?
Mm.
Maybe they've just been really damaged in life and anyone expressing any genuine, sincere interest in them beyond the facade stuff makes them feel uncomfortable. But you know what? Those are not going to be good referral sources for you anyway, right?
Yeah.
And why not put yourself out there and allow yourself to really make authentic, positive connections with the right people, just because you might once in a while bump into a few of the wrong people.
Yeah. So you just said something that I think is important. So correct me if I'm wrong here, but it's not that these questions are like, this is my cheat sheet. It's more of, like we've been saying earlier, a lot of people are introverts. You're not sure how to engage, have like a great conversation. These are tools for you, but it's not just like some script. It really, it has to be sincere. Like you have to
These are not script
actually,
questions. There's no script. There's no magic to these questions, right? I've had people come back to me after I've gone through a workshop on this stuff, and they're like, yeah, I went to the networking event and it didn't work. What do you mean it didn't work? Like, I asked them the questions and nothing happened. It's like, well, just role play with me for a minute.
Yeah.
And like, literally, they would like say the question and then just wait for something to happen. Like,
I picture them with their like notes, like, what have you noticed changing in your profession in the past several years? Right? Like they were going through with their checklist or something.
I picture it more like this. I picture it more like, so what have you seen? So what have you seen change in your profession in the last 2 years? That's the way I picture it. Like they're expecting some metamorphosis to occur before their eyes. These are conversation starters.
Yeah.
These are things that give the other person permission to be the star of the show. These are things that invite people to open up and share more with you, that you'll make note of and plug into the referral machine that we keep talking about, so you have more opportunities, more excuses, if you will, to follow up with them.
Yeah. This is, I mean, related kind of. I was volunteering. They have, DECA is like a high school group for like people, students wanting to go into business. And I was asked to come and be like one of the business mentors at a table. And I show up and there's hundreds of students, which is like, wow, it is impressive. There's that many involved. And right away, these two young women came up to me and were like, can you please tell me how I can improve my work ethic? It was just
clearly there's a teacher who gave them questions to ask and they don't even know what the questions mean.
Yes.
It's kind of like, you ever watch America's Got Talent, or if I risk dating myself, Star Search, or one of those kinds of shows?
I've seen America's Got Talent. I think that's the one where people perform, right?
Where people go on and they sing songs.
Yeah. Okay. I've seen that.
There's all these competition shows where people go on and they sing songs, right? And you can always tell the people who they don't really understand what the song's about.
Mm-hmm.
And like, they might be singing the melody, they might be hitting the notes, they might be getting all the words right, but there's something like off in the performance because they don't really understand what the meaning of the song is. You get what I'm saying?
Yes, I do.
It's like that with these questions, right? These questions are not supposed to be, they're not scripts. They're conversation starters. They're topics to talk about. They're areas of discussion worth exploring. They're not like magic potion that you like sprinkle the magic words on there and all of a sudden, poof, magic happens for you.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. That was really helpful.
You're welcome.
Okay, let's switch gears. You mentioned top of mind awareness. And
I was at a networking event. I mean, it must have been 25 years ago. And I was talking to this guy, and I still remember his name. I'm not going to say it, but I still remember his name. And we were going through these questions and talking about stuff. And I came to find out that his son was going to be, competing in a big baseball game or something coming up. And so, as part of my automatic referral machine
Mhm.
that I built, that I was building back then, right? As part of my machine that I was building back then, I dutifully wrote the follow-up note and, wishing his son luck in the game. What's that got to do with business? It's a human connection, right?
Yeah.
And then I made a note, and on the day of the game, I sent him a note to say, good luck. I got referral. I mean, that it's not because of that I got referrals for years, but it opened up the possibility of us having a really great relationship that lasted for many years. Um, just because I made a human connection with the person about something that mattered to them as a human being, and not just treating them like a thing or a profession or a job.
Yeah. Okay. Taking notes. Okay.
Yeah.
So listeners can't see this, but I'm going to describe an image I have in front of me right now where you have a circle in the middle and it says top of mind awareness. And then almost like a Venn diagram, but it's all these little circles outside of it. And you have things like thank you cards, just a note cards, sending an article, newsletter, a postcard, a gift or a fun item, a day of year celebration, referring a client,
A
setting up a
newsletter. Did you say
play. Yeah,
newsletter?
I think so. I meant to if I didn't.
Okay.
Newsletter, and then set up a play date. And I'd just like to hear you speak more about this. Like, how did you, and I think you developed this. So how did you develop it? And
Sheer desperation.
that sounds
I
like an
was
honest
trying everything.
answer,
I was trying
right?
everything, right? I was broke. I had no money. I just had a lot of time, and I just getting resourceful. It's like, what's every single way that I can think of to maintain top of mind awareness with these people that I was trying to develop a long-term, mutually beneficial referral relationship with, right? So I would send them a thank you note after I met. I would send them I didn't send them birthday cards or holiday cards because I figured everyone's sending them birthday cards or holiday cards. So I would send them random cards at random times, which, by the way, is something that I learned from Joe Girard, who's the author of The World's Greatest Salesman.
Okay.
And he taught in that book, don't send holiday cards and birthday cards. They get lost in the crowd. Send a random card for some random holiday or just for some random reason that will actually stand out. I would send people, I learned from Bob Berg to clip articles. And, I used to keep a paper file with articles that I clipped out, organized by topic. And that's where the rainmaking Rolodex idea came from. And so I'd find an article, on, I don't know, B for bowling. And
Mm-hmm.
so, I'd walk into my office and I had no clients and I had no business and I had nothing to do. So I would just go to my rainmaking Rolodex and I go, okay, I'm done with the A's. Click B, bowling. Okay, here's everyone in my rainmaking Rolodex who's expressed an interest in bowling. And I'd go to the photocopy machine and I'd photocopy the article, photocopy the article, photocopy the article, photocopy the article. And I'd sit down and I'd handwrite a little note on the photocopy page, right? Dear Heidi, I know you're interested in bowling with your daughter, and I ran across this article on bowling and thought you might be interested.
Mm-hmm.
by the way, and I repeat your magic statement to you. And I say, if I and please know, if I ever run into someone who needs a amazing muse ghostwriter for their best-selling business book, I will definitely make every effort I can to refer them to you. Boom, right? Now, I've maintained top of mind awareness. I've stood out from everyone else. I sent you something physical that you're holding on to, not digital that's easy to delete or forget about.
Mm-hmm.
I've mentioned something personal because I made a note in the Rainmaking Rolodex to remind myself. Yeah. In this case, your daughter, which is a great thing to connect to people's kids.
Yeah.
And I've reminded you that I remember your magic statement. And I reminded you that I'm out here making an effort to refer business to you. Even if I haven't referred business to you in a while, at least you know I haven't forgot and that I'm out there
Yeah.
trying, which is part of maintaining top of mind awareness. I would get people together and I'd say, hey, you should do business with you. And I'd get them together for lunch and I'd say, hey, I have someone that I'd like to introduce you to who I think could be a good referral source for you. And I'd say to
Mm-hmm.
the other person, I got someone that I know who I think would be a good referral source for you. And I bring them together and I say, Heidi, meet Carly. Carly, meet Heidi. And I would brag all about, and I would basically be your spokesperson and tell Carly all the great things about you that you would not be able to say about yourself without it seeming inappropriate.
Yeah.
Right. And then I would say back, I would then promote Carly to you and I would just be helping you recognize where there's opportunities to do business together. Right.
Yeah.
And more often than not, more often than not, people would be really appreciative of that, whether they got business out of it or not. At least I'm trying, right? As
Yeah.
opposed to most people who aren't doing anything. So I just tried everything that I could think of because, like I said, I was broke, I was desperate, and I had a lot of time on my hands.
Yeah.
So if you're broke and you're desperate, and then you've got a lot of time on your hands, right? If your business is already, if your law firm is already grossing, $1 million, $2 million, $5 million, $10 million, $20 million, good for you. Hire someone to do all this stuff for the firm. It will still work. There's no excuse not to be doing things like this.
So in this, and we touched on this before, but like this advice is to build an automatic referral machine and you never outgrow it. It doesn't matter how big
I don't know. I
your
mean, look, I
firm
started doing
gets.
this when I was broke and had no
Mhm.
money and no employees and no clients and no nothing. And today we have almost 600 law firms that we manage around the country. By the time someone's listening to this, maybe it's going to be 1,600 law firms that we manage around the country. Who knows when they listen to it? I have over 100 full-time employees. Last year, we grossed over $30 million in revenue, and it's growing and growing and growing and growing. And I haven't outgrown the referral machine yet.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll come back a year from now and say, now I've discovered the limit. It's kind of like, the Tootsie Roll, Tootsie Pop.
How many licks
How
does
many
it
licks
take
does
to
it take
get
to
the
get to the center
center?
of a Tootsie Roll Tootsie Pop? The world may never know, except the owl. 3, right? Maybe I'll come back and say, hey, everyone, I've discovered that $40 million is the limit. That's where it stops. I don't know. I don't think it ever stops.
Yeah, no.
What
So-
stops is you yourself having to do all the manual labor yourself. What starts is you being able to use your financial resources to leveraging your financial resources to hire other people to increasingly give you more and more and more leverage in the building and the maintaining of the referral machine. That's what starts to change.
Okay.
I mean, nowadays, I've got 1.5 full-time people who run my referral machine with minimal involvement from me, other than once a quarter, I sit down with them, I review the budget. This is how much I spent on labor. This is how much I spent on gifts. This is how much I spent on other stuff. and, you know, looking for the ROI.
Yeah. Okay. What do you, so this is just kind of in the weeds question, but you said set up play date. Are you like, is that where is that a term where you're talking about getting people together for lunch? Or are you talking about, you know, these people so well, you're having your kids get together? Because play date is what I immediately think of children when I hear the word play date.
Yes.
Yes to both.
And yes.
Yeah.
And also yes. And yes to yes, yes, yes. Also the yes to the other thing. Look, you're a mom, right?
I am to two.
How well did you have to know someone when your kids were little to either ask for or accept a play date?
Personally, I felt like I needed to know them fairly well.
Did you really?
I did. At
Okay.
least somehow through like social context. And
How many kids did you have?
I have two. Maybe
Okay.
if I had six, I'd have a different response.
Well, no.
Oh, okay.
The difference is when you've got one.
Yeah.
I've got one. When you're a parent with one kid,
Uh-huh.
you are desperate for a play date anytime,
Oh,
anywhere, with anyone.
okay. So I had a different experience then.
Yeah, because your
Okay.
kids can entertain themselves.
Yeah.
We're at home with our one kid, and he's bouncing off the walls with nothing to do and no one to play with. And we're like working the phones like a political campaign trying to find a play date. I mean, anyone, right? All right, but in all, and that's I am serious about that, but
Yeah.
also back to real business here, right?
Yeah.
Organized play dates between adults, right? I got an invitation once from someone who said it was a written invitation, and he said, "My name is such and such. I do such and such. I'm organizing a dinner party in my home for some guests. I always
Mhm.
like to introduce interesting people and meet new interesting people. I learned blah, blah, blah about you. And I think you might be an interesting person who we'd all like to get to know. Here's my background. Here's you can learn more about me. Uh, please accept my invitation to dinner." Allie and I are riding up the elevator to this guy's home. I mean, obviously we researched him to make sure he isn't like an axe murderer, right? And we're riding up the elevator, and we're just with another couple. We start talking to them. Turns out they got the same invitation, right? We met like so many interesting people at this thing, right?
Yeah.
I mean, adults don't do this anymore. When we're kids, our
Yeah.
parents make play dates for us, right? It's easy to make friends when we're kids because we're in school together. But it's hard to make friends with other adults. And being willing to put yourself out there and be a little bit vulnerable and take a little bit of initiative, right? And you don't have to invite them into your home. You can invite them to a restaurant where it's, you know, it's safer, right? You don't have to invite them on like out on your boat for 3 days in the middle of the ocean. You can invite them to a party, right?
Yeah.
Um, there's so many ways to build and expand your network and make yourself kind of like the big person on campus, so to speak, right?
Yeah.
Um, you know, your kid's birthday party. Kids, by the way, are a tremendously valuable networking tool. And I hate to sound negative if anyone wants to throw a negative adjective on this, you know, but it's true, right? Because think about what every busy parent who's trying to build a business is balancing. What is every busy parent who's trying to balance being a great parent, active, involved, especially on the weekends with their children, and building a business? What do I do? What do I do? What do I do? And along comes an opportunity to do both at the same time.
Mhm.
Hey, Heidi, I know we don't know each other very well, but I remember you mentioned that you've got a 9-year-old, 10-year-old, 11-year-old girl.
Mhm.
I think I mentioned that I have Paul is saying no volume. Is everyone hearing me?
I can hear you.
Okay. I have a
Me too.
9-year-old little boy. Um, I'm wondering if you might be interested in getting together for a play date this weekend at the park for the kids to play together. And maybe while the kids are playing together, we can discuss, I can learn more about your business and explore if there might be opportunities to refer business back and forth to each other, right? What's your alternative? To go to the park by yourself with your kid this weekend? Or, tell your kid, I can't be with you this weekend because I got to go to a networking event with a suit and tie, or a jacket and tie or whatever you wear when you go to networking events. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like there are so many opportunities if you're willing to just think outside the box and put yourself out there and be a little bit vulnerable.
Yeah.
And then the bonus of it is you get to spend more time with your kids, right? Because when
Mhm.
you get to the park with the kids, half the time they're playing with other kids anyway.
Yeah. I laughed because there's a new park in our town, and there's this huge slide, and I'm like the biggest kid of all of us, and I told my kids, and my kids are 16 and 13. I'm like, I'm gonna have to drag you to this park so I can slide down this slide. But
Yes, Ty gets a giant inflatable slip and slide on his birthday, whether he likes it or not.
right?
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you for all of that. So I'm trying to think if do you have anything else to add about the top of mind awareness before we move on to another topic?
Oh, I don't have anything to add that we haven't already talked about that I know is going to end up in the book. I
Okay.
just want to say this, that as your children grow, as your interest grows, as your family develops different interests, try to find ways to incorporate that into your networking and into your referral machine, right? If you and your spouse are into, trying out different restaurants, don't go alone. I mean, go alone sometimes when you want to have like a private, personal, intimate date night, of course. But, a lot of the times just invite people who you could be referring business to and get to know them better. It's an easy way to maintain top of mind awareness. Even if they decline the invitation, no one's going to be offended that you invited them, right? No one's going to be upset that you thought of them. Invite people to a concert, invite people to whatever you're into. Try to look for ways to involve other people into it. There's so many ways to maintain top of mind awareness and have a great life. And it gives you a great life, great quality life. I don't even like fishing. I know I talk a big game on fishing and I show pictures of fishing. I actually don't like fishing that much. My son loves fishing.
Mm-hmm.
So I just invited a business associate with his kids. His kids like fishing, and my kid likes fishing. And so we just got a fishing guide to take us out fishing and made us look like hero dads to the kids and made us look like hero dads to the moms who got a day off. And, we spent most of the time at the front of the boat just talking business.
Yeah, that's great. It makes me think of when, I mean, I go to the gym a lot. I have a rucking club, and for a long time, I wouldn't say anything about what I do professionally just because it's like, keep it separate. But as soon as you start talking about, like, if it comes up, then they turn into deeper, productive professional relationships as well, even when you're not in that mindset of like, I have my script, right? Which I know you're not advocating for at all, but the integration into your life of all these things. Okay. I think we have about like 9 minutes or so to talk for another question. Before then, I think we open it up to Carly for any last Q&A. Does that sound good for you?
Sure, let's do it.
Okay. So, when we spoke earlier, we talked very, very, very briefly about the lost art of the follow-up note. And I'm just wondering if you can speak about this, because you mentioned there is a resource that I could look at, but I haven't had a chance. Like we haven't been able to track that down. So I'd love to hear your thoughts on what is this lost art of the follow-up note. And I'm guessing you're going to talk about a system around it and how that's
Yeah.
part of the
First
top of
off,
mind
Carly-
awareness.
Carly?
Yes. Yep.
Remember that we need to track down either the recording or the transcript or the script for the very first info product I ever created called The Making of a Rainmaker.
I think I found it. That one I found.
Okay.
Oh.
The lost art of the follow-up note is in there.
I got you. It was a separate line item. So, okay, I'm with you.
Okay, so we do have it then.
So we do have it. I'll
Awesome.
explain it. I'll explain it here, just because I feel like everyone in the audience would feel like, what?
Yeah, I think that's fair.
Unless you have another question that you're ready to go with that isn't already addressed.
No, let's do that one if you're okay with it.
Yeah. So first off, for the same reason that live in-person networking works better today than ever before, right? And the reason is because no one's doing it, because everyone defaults to digital and online, and everyone's hiding behind their computers and hiding in their offices, and we as human beings have biologically evolved to crave social interaction. We're social creatures by evolution.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone sends emails. Everyone sends texts. Everyone sends social media whatevers, right?
Mm-hmm.
Receiving something physical in the mail stands out nowadays. You know, maybe 50 years ago, it didn't stand out because everyone got a stack of personal correspondence, but there's no such thing as personal correspondence anymore, right?
Yeah.
You send, if you receive an envelope in the mail with an actual physical stamp on it, not a metered stamp, an actual stamp on it, and a handwritten address to your name, it's going to stand out. Yeah?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
All right. And then you open it, and it's a tactile, interactive experience. There's nothing tactile about opening an email or a text or a social media post, but there's something that's engaging. There's something that you experience it in a multi-sensory way when you're physically holding and opening and hearing the sound of the paper unfolding. It's a whole multi-sensory tactile experience. Yeah. And then seeing someone's handwriting, it requires a closer level of engagement, a closer level of attention than just skimming some perfectly displayed font on a digital screen, right?
Yeah.
And especially if your handwriting isn't completely perfect, like mine,
And mine.
It forces the person, it invites the person, it allows the person to have a deeper connection, because whether they're doing it consciously or unconsciously, on some level, they're forming a relationship and an opinion of you based on, whether you dot your I, cross your T, and the angle of your B, right? They start to get to know your personality a little bit through your handwriting. And if your handwriting's bad, don't worry about it. That doesn't mean people have a negative opinion of you. It means they think you're normal, right? Um, and then obviously the subject matter you write, you're writing things that speak to them and their interests, right? And you're not saying, if you could ever please refer business to me, please refer. No, you're not doing that. You're referencing something that you spoke about when you met them in person. Dear Heidi, it was such a pleasure to meet you at the blah, blah, blah event. It was so wonderful to hear your story about how you got started in your industry. I had never really given it much thought before, but what a fascinating perspective you shared on blah, 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 blah. And then you close with the perfect close for these notes, which is, if I ever run into someone, or find myself with someone, or if I ever am talking to one of my clients and they tell me that they're looking to write a best-selling book, I will certainly refer them to you, which is what you desperately are happy to see in the letter, right? Who does that?
Yeah.
And now let's talk about this letter.
Yep.
Right? What do you do at the end of the email? You press delete. It's gone, right? Because your inbox gets jammed up with junk, right? Or you don't press delete and it gets buried and buried and buried and buried and buried, and then it gets lost, right? And half the time you don't even see the email because it gets buried under a bunch of other emails anyway. Or it gets deleted by your assistant and you never even get to see it because you got a gatekeeper. But gatekeepers don't throw away handwritten letters addressed to you with a stamp. Gatekeepers don't throw those away anymore. And then when you receive that handwritten letter, it's almost like you've created a new problem for the recipient, right? Because they don't know what to do with it. Because gone are the days when people receive so much personal correspondence. It used to be that you would receive personal correspondence and you would have files you'd put the personal correspondence in. People used to save their letters. Now it's like, I don't know what to do with this letter. So probably what's going to happen is it's going to get folded back up, stuck in the envelope, shoved in the desk drawer. And every time that desk drawer gets opened, there it is, top of mind awareness. There it is, top of mind awareness. A month later, they open up their desk drawer and there it is, top of mind awareness. It has shelf life, if you will. This is one of the reasons why books are also really effective, because books don't get thrown away. And so, and which brings me to part of the referral machine. Part of the referral machine is using the initial interactions to learn things about the other person so that you can send thoughtful and relevant gifts to them. Like, for example, dear Heidi, it was such a pleasure to meet you 6 months ago. I was in the bookstore recently and I remembered, or I was ordering a book on Amazon recently, whatever, don't lie. And I remembered that we had talked about blah, blah, blah. And I remembered one of my favorite books on blah, blah, blah is this book. Please find it enclosed with my compliments. And maybe inside the book, I've scribbled a little bit of a note. You're not going to throw that book away. You might not read it, but you're not going to throw it away. We launched one of my books. We did a marketing campaign. We invited our members to use my book to mail to their potential referral sources. And we even gave them the copy to write on the letter. And the copy was basically, I'm doing this from memory, but the copy was basically, dear Heidi, I know you're very interested in making your law firm more profitable, like mine. as I am too. A person who I know and like and trust wrote this book, happened to be called Profit First for Lawyers. I know and like a person I know wrote this, know, like, and trust, wrote this book, Profit First for Lawyers. I hope you enjoyed the book with my compliments. I'm butchering what we said. Carly will put the exact language in the show notes, and you'll see the exact copy. The point I'm making is we had members getting tens, and some of them reported already getting hundreds of thousands of dollars of business because they did this. It was so effective. Delisi was my chief of staff at the time and managed that whole project. And she just chimed in and said she's going to share it. That's awesome.
So I have a very pragmatic question. Okay. A lot of people how do you just meet someone at a networking event? A lot of people on business cards no longer have a physical street address. So it can feel kind of, I think some people could what do you say to someone is well, how do I collect a person's physical address if it's not easily visible on, their business card or website, or it's that social connection that you're trying to build where it's not oh, they own this law firm, here's the actual building. Because I had somebody one time, I got a newsletter. Somehow I got put into some funnel, and it was I'm trying to collect information on my contacts. What's your birthday? What's your home address? And it's
Right, that's creepy and weird.
It was very creepy and weird. And I get what they were trying to do, but it felt creepy and weird. So,
well, it felt creepy and weird, I'm guessing, because it was so out of context.
yes. Yeah.
Right? This is the power move.
Mm-hmm.
And you got to remember, context matters.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So you're talking to a person. You got to remember you're at a networking event because you were strategic about it, because you were intentional about it. You went to an event that is explicitly, overtly, unapologetically been organized as a business networking event, right?
Yeah.
Where people are going there to build their business networks because it's organized as such and announced as such, and everyone understands the rules of the game.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you've met the person and you've asked them some questions where you get to know them. You ask them what they do. You ask them how they started doing it. You ask them how they got started. You ask them to, share what they think is going to be the future of their industry. You ask them all these feel-good questions that we talked about earlier. Yes?
Yes.
You ask them the grand finale question of all questions, which is how, what can I look out for, or what can I ask some of my clients to figure out if they would be a good person to refer to you, which everyone loves that question, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then you say, hey, may I have one of your cards? And you look at the card and you say, is this the best address for me to mail you a note? And they say, let's role play this for a second, okay? Be your most skeptical, jaded, scared self, and let's role play this. And I'm going to show you how simple this is.
Okay.
Hey, is this the best address to mail you if I want to mail something to you?
Yeah, sure. My email address is on there.
Okay.
I'm skeptical.
Well, I'm saying I'm looking at your card and there's a physical mailing address.
Okay.
I'm asking, is this the best mailing address if I want to mail you a note?
Sure. Yes.
No, that's not what you're going to say if you're skeptical and jaded.
Well, but if I'm
what do you want
skeptical
to
of
send me? You can say, what do you want to send me? Why do you want to send me something? Oh, shucks, you don't have to do that. That's what you're going to say.
But if I'm
That's what you're afraid of the other person saying, which is why you're not going to ask this question. Okay, I'll try it a different way. Here you go. Ready?
Okay.
This is how you do it, and it's going to work 98% of the time. It's going to work perfectly. All right?
Okay.
is this the best address to mail you? If I want to mail you a note in the mail with a postage stamp, is this the best address to use?
Yes, I feel like that's going to be the
Terrific.
answer.
Thank
Yeah.
you. There,
Okay.
now you have their address.
I'm saying, what if
Okay.
it's
Do you have
not
a
on the
card? Do you have a
card?
card? Do you have a
Sure.
card?
Yes, I have a
No,
card.
now you say, no, I don't have a card.
Oh,
I'm modern and don't have a card. By the way, I don't carry cards either, so I get it.
okay. Oh, I don't have a card on me. Sorry.
Oh, what would be the best physical address for me to mail you a note after we're done with this meeting?
Oh, then I just tell you.
No, you're jaded. You're skeptical. You're trying.
Well, what do you need to, I don't know.
In this role play, you have to decide, are you going to be the person I'm giving this advice to who is willing to give it a try and let it work, and then you prove, and then the results will prove themselves that they work, and you'll give it a try? Or in this role play, are you going to be the person that I'm coaching and advising, and you've got like a million excuses about, well, what about this? But what about that? But what if this happens? But what if that happens? Which character do you want to be in this role play? Because the person who's willing to try things is easy. I don't have to do a lot. They just read the book, do what we tell you. You're going to make a bunch of money.
Well, but I feel like you've teed this up to already be like, if I'm in the mindset of like, well, I'm at this business networking event, we're all here. We have
Here's what's going to happen. You're going to say, what's the best place I can mail you a note after this networking event? And the other person is going to say, my email address is 123.
Yeah.
And you're going to say, okay, great. But what's the best address for me to mail something to you? If I wanted to drop you a letter in the mail, what would be the best address for me to mail something to you? And the other person is going to say, oh, you don't have to do that. And I'm going to say, I know I don't have to do that, but I'm old fashioned. I like to write handwritten thank you notes, and I'm going to mail you a thank you note when we're done here today. And the other person is going to say, that seems kind of quaint and outdated and unnecessary and bad for the environment too. And you're going to say, call me old fashioned. I'm going to write you a thank you note. And here's what I'm trying to get at, right? Trust is manufactured. Trust can be earned. Trust can be manufactured. The way you build trust is by doing what you say you're going to do. Yeah?
Yeah.
When you do what the other person expects you to do, they begin to trust you. Now, you can either not state your intentions and be consistent, so the other person begins to predict and expect and anticipate what you're going to do. And when you do it, they begin to trust you. Or you can accelerate the process. And the way you accelerate the process is by telling them what you're going to do and then doing it. If you tell them what you're going to do once and you do it, they think, oh, that's maybe just luck. And then you tell them what you're going to do a second time and you do it, they go, oh, maybe that's just a coincidence. And then you tell them what you're going to do a third time and you do it, most people at that point are like, oh, this person's reliable. Part of building a referral machine, part of having a system and building the referral machine involves telling people that you're going to do things that your machine is going to do for you.
Okay.
See, when I tell people what I'm going to do, I only tell them that I'm going to do things that I know I've got a machine already set up ahead of time to do for me to make me look good. I kind of have an ace up my sleeve when I'm out at networking events because I'm telling people I'm going to do things I've already got set up to happen anyway.
Yeah.
That's what makes it a referral machine and not just happening by chance or luck or sporadically. So the person gives you their address, and most of the time what's in their mind is, this person's never going to write me a thank you note. They're going to forget all about this.
Yeah.
And then when they receive the thank you note, the recipient's like, wow, this person did what they say they're going to do. This person stands out from the crowd in a good way.
Yeah. So it's like this was helpful, even though I failed miserably in the role playing.
Yeah, you did a terrible job role playing in that one.
I did. Well,
Yeah, you did.
I know.
I'm listen, when I give you
Well,
compliments, you know they're sincere because I also don't pull the punches when you don't do a great job on
yeah.
things.
So, what I got from this is it's not like it has to be a surprise. Wow, a thank you note, a follow-up note. No, you actually tell them, yeah, I'm going to send a follow-up note
You can
because
tell them, you
man,
don't have to tell them.
yeah,
It works both ways.
yeah.
My
Okay.
point is you don't have to be shy about letting them know your intentions. Listen,
Got it.
if you meet someone at a singles bar and you say, "What's your address? I'd like to mail you a thank you note." That's not good. But you're not at a singles bar. You're at a business networking event.
Yeah.
Context matters.
Context matters. Yep. Okay. On that note, do we want to switch over to see what questions people have?
Let's do it.
Okay.
All right. Okay, so here's one that I think is kind of a fun one. What are some ways that I can stay in front of my network regularly, even when I don't have anything new to say? And I know we kind of talked about this with the follow-up note, but kind of like you've sent the note about the guy with the baseball, his son with the baseball tournament. What do you send him
Follow-up note is
next?
a one-time thing.
Right.
That's not what this question is asking. What this
Okay.
question is asking is, it's now been a month, 2 months, 3
Yeah.
months, 4 months, 6 months, 9 months, 18 months, 24 months. It's been 3 years since we met at that networking event. How do I stay in front of this person when there isn't like some big news announcement to make?
Yes.
That's the question, right?
Yes.
Paper newsletters, first of all, sending out a monthly paper newsletter every month is part of the automatic referral machine that we're talking about. Second, your rainmaking Rolodex and this thing called a calendar, right? So you schedule an appointment on your calendar every month. And every month you set aside an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours to go through your rainmaking Rolodex, and you find something to send them to maintain top of mind awareness. The rainmaking Rolodex is described in detail in the book, but the short version of it is you don't organize it by the name of the person. So Carly wouldn't be under K for Carly. Carly would be under M for music, and B for baking, and B for bees, for beekeeping, right? And so I'd go A, B for beekeeping. Oh, look, Carly and Andy and Betty and David and Mary and Joe and Susie and Sally are all under B for beekeeping. So I'm going to find something to do with beekeeping. Back in the old days, I kept a file with articles, but now with the internet, I can just search and find something to do with beekeeping and print it off and make some photocopies and mail it off. Dear Carly, I ran across this article on beekeeping and made me think of you. I hope you're enjoying not having any bees because you listen to your sister's bullshit. I hope you get some bees soon. By the way, if I ever, I'm out here looking for someone who needs a great podcast producer, and when I do, I will be sure to refer them to you. Boom. Mail it off, and then I'd write the letter to the next person who's interested in bees for beekeeping. And what does it take? 20 minutes? 20 minutes to write 20 notes, right? If I do that once a month, that's 200 connections a year, 250 connections a year I'm going to make just with the rainmaking Rolodex plus the newsletter. It doesn't have to be like timely. It doesn't have to be like breaking news, relevant in the law. It can be personal. Remember, we're speaking to the other person's interests. We're not making it all about ourselves. When you shift it around from, I have to think of something to say about myself, it's hard because there isn't like new interesting things happening all the time. But when you make it about the other person and the other person's interests, you can always, dear Carly, I want to let you know that I was on an airplane flying from Miami to California last week, and I sat next to someone who was interested in podcasting, and I asked them if they were interested in meeting someone who's a really good podcast producer and a terrific resource. And the person told me, and I quote, "Mind your own business and don't ever talk to me again." Which I politely did because I had 5 more hours left on the flight. I did this before we took off. But I want to let you know I was trying to make referrals to you. Your friend, RJon. Mail it off, right? Just find reasons to be in front of the person by speaking to what they're interested in. Don't make it about yourself.
Can I just add, RJon? I hope this enhances the conversation, but I can't believe you remember that bee story. We talked about that in like May of 2023. It's been 2 years and I haven't brought it up since. And I am delighted that you remember, even though I still don't have any bees.
You're
I'm gonna work
also
on
my
it.
rainmaking Rolodex under the letter T, and you know why.
Oh, that one I know. All right, let me give you the next question. You actually touched on two, because my next question was, what is a rainmaking Rolodex? So thank you for that. Somebody asked, how many of the follow-up touch points that we mentioned in the flower diagram in chat today, how many of the follow-up touch points should I aim for each month with my network without overdoing it or becoming annoying?
I think if you're touching each person every other month, that's plenty. If you touch one person 3 or 4 times a year, that's 3 or 4 times a year more than probably anyone else in their business or life is doing for them. Right? If you're sending them a monthly paper snail mail newsletter once a month and sending them a handwritten note with something, an article, a follow-up, anything, consistently, predictably, reliably, let's even just say once a quarter, and let's say once or twice a year, they get a note from you letting them know that you made an effort to make a referral to them. Even if you're not in a position to ever be able to make a referral to them, that's a lot of reminders. That's a lot of top of mind awareness. It doesn't have to be so much. Now, the best top of mind awareness there is, the absolute best top of mind awareness that ever existed ever, is actually making a referral to them. Right? Which is why once a month, you schedule an appointment on your calendar. And if you've got a team, then enroll your team. If you don't have a team, do it yourself. And you literally just beat the bushes looking for someone who you can refer to this person in your network. And this is part of the reason why yesterday we talked about picking only maybe 10 or 12 people in the beginning. If you're doing this yourself without a staff and without a lot of resources, just pick maybe 10 or 12 people who you can build this referral machine around, right? And if once a month I invest an hour or two just racking my brain and looking through my contacts and finding someone to refer to the first person in my referral machine, and the next month I focus on the second person, and the next month I focus on the third person, and the next month I focus on the fourth person. If every month I dedicate to focusing on finding some way, somehow, something to refer to this person, you'd be surprised how resourceful you can get, and you'd be surprised how lucky you'll get when you're that resourceful. And it's got to be scheduled, not just random.
I love it. Okay, those are the questions that I have down today. I think that's
Listen,
a good place
everyone,
to end
I
today
know
too.
this isn't as simple as just throwing money at some marketing vendor who's going to push a bunch of digital buttons for you. I get it. This is a machine. You build it, you maintain it, it will keep producing referrals for you year after year after year after year after year after year. You build $1 million referral machine and it'll just keep working for you and working for you and working for you. And the beautiful thing is, when the day comes that you want to sell your law firm, this machine is so valuable and you can sell it too.
That's perfect. Okay, I think that's a great button to end on. Thanks everyone for being here today. Thank you for sending in your questions. We're getting a lot of value at it. Heidi, I saw you had a moment with one of those earlier, so I'm gonna send a thank you note. If you have any additional questions that you would like to make sure that we ask, please send those my way. I will post that email in the chat right here. I'm not putting my personal one. I will do one that everybody follows. So it's podcast@howtomanage.com, which is also easier to spell than my name. podcast@howtomanage.com, and I'll make sure to add them to my queue. Heidi and RJon, thank you so much for the great content today. And we will see you back here, same time, same place tomorrow.
Hey,
Thank you
let's
so
my
much.
team stick around for a minute.